everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this video where we are gonna chat about the future trends of the beauty community. Well, I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna take a stab in the dark or sometimes a stab in broad daylight, and I'm gonna let you know what I think about the trends for next year. And I'm also gonna be catching you up on what I thought about the trends for this year, for 2022, and I'm gonna be letting you know whether or not I was correct, if I was good at guessing or not. And if you haven't been here before, if this is your first video here, hello, my name is Angie. I am such a lover of beauty makeup. I would love to see you subscribe to my channel because right now I am uploading every day until Christmas. Yes, we are still knee-deep in Vlogmas and I am enjoying going through all of my old content, all of my old predictions and all of my old things and just tying everything together and just with a neat little bow for the end of the year. And I used to do, every year, I used to do a predictions for next year and also a going back to the predictions from last year and just seeing whether or not I was correct. So I thought this year I'd actually do them in the same video. So we are first going to be talking about my predictions that I had for this year and whether or not I was correct, and then I'm going to be letting you know about my beauty predictions for next year, for 2023, what I think we're going to be seeing, and then we can see whether or not I'm correct or not. And please let me know about your predictions down in the comments as well. I would love to hear what you think about this. You usually have the best comments. I get told this all the time by brands and by other creators that they go through my comment section and they see that we have such kind, respectful, and thoughtful discussions in the comment section. And I just wanted to let you know that that does not go unnoticed by others as well. So thank you so much for making this community such a helpful, respectful, and kind community. I did film this look. I filmed it for like Instagram. I think I'm putting it up here as a short as well. I'll put that in the description box with this look right here if you're interested, together with what I'm wearing, because I'm fairly sure that this is live as we're watching this. I will also leave a link to the predictions that I had last year in case you want to catch up and see what I did. But let's start with my predictions for last year. I'm just gonna read through them and give you some quick feedback on whether or not I think it came true. And I remember that one of the predictions that I had for last year was that I thought we might be going into an era with thinner brows. I don't know if we did that as much as we went into a period where people were talking about thin brows. I think we're more in the era right now where every kind of brow seems to be cool. Nobody is really telling anyone that you should have thicker brows or you should have thinner brows. Because I do remember back in the 90s or early 2000s when we had those super thin brows, like I remember, you remember, Pepperish Farm remembers, that was a thing. And there was a point there where people would actually tell people that had thicker brows, you should pluck your brows. And there was definitely a time during, I want to say 2016, 17 something, where people were telling people you should thicken up your brows a bit. A more like distinct, bold brow is more in right now. And I feel like we're now more in the era where all brows are accepted, all brows are pretty cool. Some like feathery brows, some like thicker brows, some like sculpted, some like natural brows. And I think that everything is pretty accepted right now. And the only people that are really like commenting on people's brows in any kind of negatively way, it's not really a constructive way, it's more like, I hate your brows. I mean, if you're a beauty creator, you've gotten comments like that. I hate your brows, I hate your nose, I hate your voice, I hate everything about you, yet I'm here watching every video. And that is not really what I'm talking about. I feel like with brows right now, we see a lot of different brows go around and it's not just like one brow fits all. And I'm kind of enjoying that. I also remember saying that the Y2K trend really came in, like it came in fast and furious during the end of last year, and I thought that it was going to keep coming this year. And I also said that I thought that one of the things that we were going to be seeing was, I'm sure I saw it here somewhere. Did I not talk about it? Because I'm fairly sure I talked about like gems. Or did I talk about gems during the Y2K trend? I'm not 100% sure where. I feel like I've talked about this, or did I talk about that with a friend? Not 100% sure, but one of the things that we've been seeing with this Y2K trend is definitely that gems, crystals, all kinds of those things are so popular. And we're also seeing a lot of like graphic liners have been really in. Not like that was a thing during the Y2K, but a little bit more neon, a little bit more playful. It was very in with like the scribbly like patterns on clothes and stuff, and I feel like we have translated that into scribbly patterns on eyes instead. I'm hoping I'll be able to show some something on the side here that like tells you what I'm thinking about. I've also seen a lot of things within fashion that's still very in with the Y2K. I don't know if face gems are like disappearing. I think we're still gonna see that for a little bit because I think that people are still enjoying that and having fun with it. And it's such an easy way to take your look into being a little bit more on the party side or a little bit more extra, especially now with like drugstore brand and affordable brands like ColourPop is coming up with those shards that you can buy with the gems. They're already pre-glued, so they're so easy to stick on your face. I don't think that that is going anywhere soon, and I'm actually kind of happy to see that we're being a little bit more experimental, a little bit more playful with makeup and not taking it too serious. It's supposed to be fun as well. The next thing that I talked about is more brands closing. And I actually had to take some notes because there has been a lot of things going on throughout this year and also throughout the end of last year. So many things that have been, it started out being curveballs, but I feel like we're not surprised anymore. It started out with BH Cosmetics. It didn't start out. Like last year, Costa Scents closed down and BH Cosmetics filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. That then got bought by Revolution Beauty, and then Revolution Beauty were having problems and their stock got, I think, paused on the stock exchange, which is never a good sign because of discrepancies in how they were reporting their debt, which is not a good idea at all. Since then, they have changed whoever is captain on the boat. I don't think Adam Minto is in charge anymore. He was one of the founders of the brand. We've also seen that Forma brand, which is the owner of Morphe, for example, or at least the investor of a bunch of brands like Jacqueline Cosmetics as well, have been mulling over the option of going into Chapter 11 bankruptcy as well. And that was a little bit shocking because if you have been in the beauty community long enough, like, oh, how the mighty has fallen. That is literally the situation. Morphe used to be just this unstoppable steamboat force that just choo-chooed its way into everyone's makeup bag. And for their like mother brand, which is Forma Brands was like created after Morphe. Morphe is older than Forma Brands, let's just put it like that. For them to be mulling over Chapter 11 bankruptcy is just fascinating. It truly is fascinating, and it shows that no one is untouchable in the climate that we are in right now. And when like the pandemic happened and everything, some people were more flexible than others, and nobody could predict that, of course. But I think a lot of brands are taking other kind of measures now when it comes to a lot of things, let's be honest, because of what's probably going down with Morphe. Because that was shocking. That was shocking. Lila B closed, which is a smaller brand. Makeup B closed, which is sad. It's like basically one of the first influencer makeup brands. Revlon filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and last thing I heard, they had been able to get a loan to get themselves out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So we'll see what happens, because they are truly like, they're a legacy brand, and it's going to be interesting to see whether or not they are able to come back or not. Bite Beauty closed, and then Glossier did announce that they are laying off, and they did lay off 1/3 of their employees in the beginning of the year. That's not a good sign. That's not necessarily a sign of the brand going under, but it's definitely a sign of things not going exactly as planned. That is definitely a sign of that. I have heard rumors in the corridors that Glossier is coming into Sephora in the beginning of 2023, so we'll see if that happens or not. And then I also wanted to note, and this is just a note, there is a couple of brands that have pulled out of markets, and pulled out of kind of large markets. Urban Decay has pulled out of a lot of markets in the EU. Both Smashbox and Glam Glow totally pulled out of the UK market. That is not a good sign for a brand when their mother brand, which I think in the Glam Glow and Smashbox. I think it is Estee Lauder that's the owner of those brands. When they're pulling them out of a big market like the UK, that's not a good sign. I mean, I'm pretty sure they are the ones that pulled the plug on Becca last year. I mean, we all remember that. So there are definitely some brands that seem to be not doing as hot. And I will also say, and I wanted to make a video about this, discussing this, but if you didn't know, beauty and makeup is no longer, at least economically, suffering from what happened during 2020. We have already surpassed the numbers of 2019. Yes, 2022's numbers are bigger than the numbers in 2019. And I kind of want to discuss that in another video and talk about like what does that really mean, because I feel like we're all talking about beauty being down when in reality that does not seem to be the case. Let me know if you would be interested in hearing me talk about that, because I feel I have some thoughts about that. I said that I was hoping for smaller releases, and I feel like there has been some brands that have been able to release the one thing, or like this is the palette that we want to release, or releasing smaller collection. I even see some smaller collections from brands that are notorious for making big collections, like Colourpop and Makeup Revolution. Yes, they've both had collections that have been really big, but I also see that they have been toning it down a little bit towards the end of the year. Makeup Revolution has come out with some collabs that have had like 3-4 products in them. Colourpop has been able to come out with some things that have been just a couple of things, and I feel like it's refreshing. We do not need every week or every month to have a collection that has 12 pieces. We don't need that. If you just want to release the one thing, that's perfectly fine. If you want to have a small collection with 3, 4, 5 items, that's perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be in the double digits every time. And I will say that I do think that we have seen some of this year. I mean, like, I'm just looking at it now. I have the Glamlite and Strawberry Shortcake packaging here in front of me. That collection had 5 things. That's enough. We don't need more than that. Sometimes we can just tone it down and just release a few things very well done, instead of releasing 12 million things hoping that somebody's gonna love some of it. I also said multichromes, and I specifically mean multichromes more in the mainstream. I mean, Vanessa Myricks has still been releasing multichromes, and now we also saw multichrome in that My Dream palette by Natasha Denona that came out. Pat McGrath is still putting multichromes in her palettes. I know that when we talk about these things, people are always saying, I can't believe that like drugstore brands have not figured out how to do this like affordably. And I think that like we should be switching this question around. How come they haven't figured it out? And I can tell you right now why they haven't figured it out, because multichrome pigments, the ingredient to make multichromes, is expensive. It's expensive, and I don't think that a lot of brands are willing to pay what it actually costs to buy that ingredient to put them in their palettes. That's why you haven't seen it in those $12 palettes from Colourpop, or in the $20 palettes from whatever brand. It's because they're finding it hard to what corners are we going to cut to be able to put in the multichrome pigments here. Maybe with time the ingredients will be cheaper, but I think that from now it's probably only going to be seen in more expensive palettes because of the cost of the ingredient. Brands are not making their own ingredients the same way as restaurants are not growing their own carrots most of the time. Sometimes it just is what it is, and that ingredient is an expensive ingredient. But I do think that we are going to continue to see multichromes and different kinds of textures and formulas in palettes from now on. And I finally feel now that we're at a space where even consumers, and not only reviewers, even consumers sometimes look at a palette and say, there's nothing special about this. There's only 2 kinds of formulas in here, and for this price point I'm expecting more. And I think that is interesting, because right now, I mean, not everything can be a multichrome, not everything can be a duochrome. Sometimes it's nice with just a traditional shimmer, but I think that when we're getting up there in price point, people are expecting diversity when it comes to formulas. People are expecting to be a little bit wowed by at least one of the colors in the palette. If you're charging me $50 for a palette, you're gonna have to explain to me, the proof has got to be in the pudding. Why is this $50? And I think that a lot of brands are really stepping up to the plate and just showing us, and some brands are falling behind a little bit. That's also a really fun discussion to be had at some point. This is a quote that I took from from the video from last year, and we all know where this is going. I said, are we done with Disney? we're not. I also said less collabs, and then in my notes I put LOL. I don't, this is the thing though, as long as we keep buying them, they're gonna keep making them. It just is what it is, and I'm not even gonna predict that it's less collabs, because collabs are still selling. They are. People are excited about collabs. It just has to be the right collab from the right brand with the right collab, and it's gonna sell out. If it's a collab that people are not that excited about, like people are finding the Pat McGrath and Bridgerton collab at TJ Maxx. Yes, if you're living close to a TJ Maxx, go and check it out, because people are finding Pat McGrath Bridgerton in their TJ Maxx. I'm just saying that if it's the right one, it's gonna sell out. If it's the wrong one, people are gonna be like, me, this isn't for me. So I don't think it's the end of that, but like I was thinking that. I was also talking about MLMs, because we were in a time where MLMs thrive when people are finding themselves in economic like hard situations or uncertainty. But I will say I haven't heard about a lot of more brands going into MLMs. MLMs are multi-level marketing. You can Google it if you're interested in seeing it. Basically, it is just a refined pyramid scheme. It's a way of keeping it legal until proven illegal, basically. And I did note that Sol de Janeiro was being bought out by L'Occitane, which is now an MLM in the US. So we'll see what happens. Honestly, I feel that now we are in the, when we look back at this time, our ancestors look back at this time 100 years ago, this is not going to be the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, this is going to be the Information Age. We are in the Information Age right now, and the information is always out there and it is accessible for everyone. And I think that the mass influx of information about why MLMs are not good for anyone but the people that came in early so that they can suck money out of the ones from the bottom, I think that's going to be the death of MLMs. It's going to be exciting to see, because I really think that that is coming. But yeah, fortunately we haven't seen more of that. The last thing I wrote from last year is brands doing new things. Skincare, candles, nails. We saw a lot of that. Did we see a lot of that this year? I didn't even mull over that much. I don't know if we've seen a lot of that actually, because last year there was a lot of stuff like that, and I was thinking it was gonna boom this year, but now that I think of it, I don't think we saw, because last year we had Fenty Skin. Fenty said they were gonna release Fenty Hair. That still hasn't been released. Fenty also came into perfume. We've seen candles from some brands that haven't done candles before, like Colourpop did a candle, Makeup Revolution did a candle. Colourpop was also like releasing some other brands. It's just, I haven't seen more about that this year, which is interesting, because I kind of thought that we were going to see more of that, like diversifying what kind of products you were offering. That is interesting. Now that I think back of it, can you remember a brand that got into a new segment of products that they weren't into before? I don't mean like doing mascara, I mean like doing skincare, but before they were only a beauty brand, or doing hair products, but before they were only like a skincare brand. I can't think of any now on the top of my head, but I actually did think that was gonna happen this year, but it didn't. And that's what it is with predictions sometimes. Sometimes you're right, and sometimes you're wrong. Now let's talk about what I think for 2023. And I did touch on this quite briefly, and that is collabs. I think that, like I said, as long as we keep buying them, they're gonna keep making them. And I have seen a trend throughout this year, and I think it really started with the Pat McGrath and Bridgerton before season 2 came out, that I think that now more than ever, makeup and beauty is being seen as a form of marketing. So I think that you are gonna see collabs with whatever needs to be marketed. Avatar movie, Bridgerton. I know that there are more things like this out there. Oh, that like School of Bad, Good and Evil, that absolutely awful movie at Netflix, that one had a collab. I think, and this is what I wrote, collabs for 2023. Whatever needs promo that year, let's be honest. That is what I think. I think that beauty has finally entered its final form of just being merch. It is a marketing tool for new things being released. So make sure when you are buying something that you actually want it, and that you're not being sucked into the promo of a new thing. Like Ulta Beauty has done so many things with like the Marvel movies that are coming out and stuff like let's make sure that we're just not buying into the hype and that we're actually buying products that we want to use. I have a doggo here. We'll see if she wants to show herself or she's just being cuddly down here. Next thing I wrote is TikTok trends, and I think that brands for sure knew before that TikTok is really moving products right now, because it seems like TikTok right now is basically beauty YouTube in 2015, 2016.
You need this, buy this now. This is the most coverage I've ever seen.
That is TikTok right now, and this is not my first rodeo. I've seen that before. I don't think I am as easily swayed to buy a product on TikTok because I have been through that on YouTube in 2015, 2016. So I feel like I'm not immune to it, but it's like, yeah, like I said, it's not my first rodeo. I've seen this before, but I do think that brands are recognizing that there is a chance to have that kind of a hype that a product could have in 2015 on YouTube. You can have that today on TikTok if you make a product that is TikTok friendly, something that gives instant shine, instant coverage, instant glowiness, something that's transforming. I'm looking at you pH changing lip glosses, something that has shock value. I'm looking at you lipsticks that are glossy but transfer proof, or the figurines from HipDog that looks like little characters, or I'm guessing glitter flips. I would not be surprised if that is coming back, or the Jones Road foundation that everybody wanted to try because of that viral video. I think there's going to be a lot of beauty products that come this year that are made not only to be like sensational products, but definitely that is a key like point of the product. Is this TikTok friendly? And I'm sure a lot of the products that are being hyped on TikTok are still great products, but I do definitely see why brands would want to make products that make good TikToks that could be viral, because then more people see their products and see their brand. So I'm expecting to see more things like that. I would not be surprised. Maybe the peel off like lip tints thing is coming. Like, there are so many things that I could predict comes back because of TikTok and challenges and just shock value and easy quick content. You don't have to explain anything on TikTok. Nobody has time for explaining. You just show it, you act surprised, and then you move on to the next product. And I do believe that we're going to see products that are targeted towards TikTok, because there are a lot of beauty products that are selling because they were popular on TikTok. Don't think that it's all just shock value and nobody is. No, TikTok is moving products right now. They really are. I also wrote that fragrance seems to be in again. I remember, you know, that celebrity perfumes was like a thing and everybody was having a perfume. Now everybody's having a beauty brand, but I feel like a lot of people are really into fragrance right now. And I've always been into fragrance, but I notice now that the audience actually wants to listen to me talk about fragrance, which is lovely, but it shows that we're in a shift right now where people were really into makeup and then they're really into skincare and now we're really into perfume. And I'm just, this is me waving a little red flag, and I'm just letting you know, don't overcommit. Yes, fragrance seems to be a little bit in right now. Don't overcommit. Don't spend too much money on that, because that is the thing right now and you think that that's going to be the thing that you're going to be loving forever. Remember how much money you spent on skincare. Remember how much money you spent on like makeup. You're not supposed to be keeping up. You're supposed to be finding the one that's right for you, or if you are a collector, of course, that's totally different. I'm just saying fragrance seems to be the thing that's in right now, but you don't have to buy all of them. I'm just saying you don't have to buy all of them. I never buy full-size perfumes. If they have those little travel sprays, that's what I buy. If you have more than 3 perfumes, you're not going to go through your perfumes either. Just buy the small ones. Buy the small ones. And that comes from me that I actually do buy way more perfumes than I need. But I do think that fragrance is having a bit of a renaissance, and I'm not mad about that. I'm actually excited about that because I love perfume. But I find it have you noticed that as well? Like places like Trend Mood is talking about perfume. Like, I find it interesting. Oh, I did write here actually that we might be thinking that the market is shrinking, but it's actually only shifting. And I was talking about the statistics that the beauty community, the value of the makeup and the beauty like market has actually increased if we're comparing 2022 to 2019, which was pre-pandemic. So we might think that like, oh, brands are closing, the market is shrinking, and it's not really that, where it actually is making more money. It's still making more and more and more money. It's catching up and it's surpassed pre-pandemic, but it's shifting a bit. Some of the brands that used to be very hip and in fell behind, and that's what we're seeing. So I think that we should stop talking about like nobody cares about beauty anymore, like nobody's buying beauty, the beauty market is shrinking. It's actually growing. It's just shifting in a different direction. There's always going to be that one product that is like the product of the year, or like 1-2 products where every brand seems to be releasing that. I feel like this year every brand wanted to release a cream bronzer, and suspiciously amount of brands wanted to release a lip oil. I mean, it's not really suspicious. I'm just saying that trends do come in waves, and it's not unusual for a lot of people to get the same great idea at the same time, but it's really, really hard to predict what will be that one product for next year. I honestly have no idea what that would be. I would not be surprised if contour came back, because I feel like it's been long enough now. So it's like, I would not be surprised if we saw contour products. I mean, Collabs just released the contour pack. I would not be super surprised if we saw that, because I feel like some trends that were popular in 2015 are kind of coming back, especially with TikTok. So I would not be awfully surprised if that happened. I also have seen a shift into smaller palettes. I feel like, and again, it's not only the beauty community talking about wanting a little bit more curated palettes. Now I also see consumers in forums, in comments, talking about how they're like wanting something a little bit more accessible. It doesn't have to be a quad. Even though I've seen that there's been a lot of like quads and 6-pans and stuff coming out, it just doesn't have to be 40 shades. Maybe it can be 12, 15, even 20, but it doesn't have to be like just a big, you know, tabletop palette. And I do think that there are still people, of course, that love a bigger palette, but I think we're shifting a little bit away from those super big palettes. When there was a time when bigger was definitely better when it came to beauty, and I don't think we're in that era anymore, and I would not be surprised if we saw even more curated palettes come out next year. I mean, Morphe even as well just did a collection of more curated palettes. Again, how the mighty has fallen. I have 2 more things that I want to say. One of them, I literally wrote, lacy does not cut it. And I think that we are past where just slapping your name on something is going to sell the products. And my example was that RuPaul put her name on a brand of beauty products that was sold in the UK, and apparently the quality was awful. That doesn't cut it anymore. And I've even seen brands like REM, for example, getting a lot of slack for it looking like a quick money grab, where Ariana Grande doesn't seem like she's even read up on the products, which is a shame, because I'm actually wearing some of this highlighter, and it's, well, on my here. I'm wearing it on my chest, and it's a beautiful highlighter. Literally mentioned this in one of my yearly favorites. The brand has some, do you want to cuddle? I mean, the brand literally has a lot of products, but as soon as people get suspicious that the owner or the celebrity or the person, yes, you're very sweet, the person that has their name on the products are not properly invested, people start to be suspicious, and they're like, wait, do you really care about these products? And that's why I wrote, lacy doesn't cut it. No, you have to be a little bit more invested. Because there is, oh, like I showed you with the numbers, well, I didn't show you, but I told you with the numbers, there definitely is space for more brands. There are space for more products. You're gonna go down? You want a kiss? Oh, thank you. But people literally have 0 F's to give for brands and products that seem lacy. And I will say, I'm a little bit thrilled to see some things getting dragged, because sometimes they actually do deserve it. The last thing I wrote is that there's always going to be a new trend, and the trends come so quickly. I wrote, clean, sad, cool girl, it's coming and going. Nobody knows how long they're staying. And none of these trends and these makeup looks are really like new. It's just a new interpretation of a makeup look that has been around from before. But I will say that I am enjoying trends come and go. And trends is not about, nobody's telling you that you need to follow trends. I'm not buying into any of the clean girl or the cold, cool girl. I don't know. I'm not buying into that because I don't like that look. I don't like looking sticky and dewy. I don't like blush on my nose. I don't like that makeup aesthetic. So I'm just waiting for the trend that fits me, And when that trend comes, I'm gonna jump on it and I'm gonna have a lot of fun with it. You don't have to jump on a trend if you don't like it. You don't have to buy a cream blush because now everybody's doing cream. If you don't like that, you don't like that. It is okay to only be inspired and to only jump on the trends that you like, especially in this day and age when trends literally come and go every 10 minutes. Don't be too stressed when you see a new trend come up if you don't have the right products or if you don't feel like you fit it. You don't have to do any of that. I haven't done any, I don't do the little brown mascara and just patting on a little skin tint on my cheek. Like, I don't do that. I don't care. If you enjoy it, I'm so happy for you. But I'm not jumping on every trend just because, especially not in this day and age when, like I said, trends are coming every 10 minutes. So I don't want you to be stressed by trends. See trends as another tool for getting inspiration of how to wear your makeup in a new way. And if you're not getting inspired, skip it and wait for the next one. But I do think that there's going to be a lot of those shorter capsule trends coming in 2023 as well. And I'm excited to see what it is. Maybe Slime Girl is coming. I'm prepared. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear what you think about the trends for 2022 or the trends for 2023. What do you think is coming? I know that Pantone color of the year, it was something fuchsia, something like that, like fuchsia something. And I think that's really fun. Maybe we can do like a look regarding that if you would like me to incorporate something like that and get rid of me or something like that, because I thought that was a fun color that would really translate well into makeup as well. And I know that Pantone color of the year isn't really about beauty, but sometimes it spills over on beauty, and I'm kind of here for that as well. I hope you're having an amazing day. Do not forget to subscribe, and I will see you again tomorrow for a new video. Bye.